Hi, everybody.
Hi, I'm Kylie.
I'm Corey.
And we are
Lit Libations. Welcome.
Oh, God.
What episode are we on?
don't know.
7, 18, 19? We're getting up there.
I just edited 17, so 18, it has to be 19.
Woohoo, episode 19.
Holy moly for holies. That's a lot.
We're doing great. Trucking along.
I'm excited. About this because it's unhinged.
Yes. It gets more chaotic the more you read this series.
Yeah.
Or more unhinged, I guess would be a good
I am also kind of excited
phrase.
because we don't have a series or a season for Benedict because we're reading what is it? An Offer from a Gentleman. The titles are it's like book Bridgerton 3, isn't it?
Right.
But I like that because I feel like we can just kind of focus in on what's going on in the book.
Yeah, we don't have to reference any. There's no references.
Yeah, we can maybe reference him
show.
as a character like what we've seen in the show, but like not necessarily like anything that would pertain to.
I don't even know what he looks like.
Listen, okay. I'll be honest. Show Benedict is like my favorite character.
Oh, really?
Like book as of right now, I have not touched Colin's book, and I know my opinion might change after we read Colin's book. But as of right now, book Colin is my favorite. Bridgerton brother. And as of now,
we haven't read it yet. We haven't read it yet. Don't come at us.
That's what I said. I have not touched Colin's book. So as of right now, in the show, Benedict is my favorite brother.
Okay.
As of now, we'll see when we get to a season.
Oh gosh.
Have you watched the first 4 episodes of?
I have not.
I binged it the second I saw it came out.
Was it good?
Oh my God. Yes and no.
I've heard mixed reviews.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say I have beef with you, Shonda Rhimes.
Uh-oh.
Beef. Okay, you and me, we're beefing. Because here's one. Why? Where do you get off?
What happened?
How do you release 4 episodes
Oh.
and then just say, fuck you for a month?
I'm sure that she had nothing to do with that.
Well, whoever it was, we have beef. Whoever it was, we have beef. And I'm upset because it did end on such a good note, but I do feel like their story is really, really rushed. I don't even know what the story is because again,
I don't even know what the story is.
I have not touched Colin's book.
Oh yeah.
So I don't even know what the official story is, but what I felt when I was watching it is it did feel rushed.
Okay. Well,
And
I'll have to watch it.
There's far too many storylines. There's like 7 storylines. I'm like,
yeah, aren't they doing Francesca too?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what someone said.
I don't know
like,
anything about her
oh yeah,
story.
I actually kind of do. Francesca's story. They are kind of introducing Francesca's story as of right now.
Okay, I wonder if that will be come into play later this season.
I'm sure it will. Because I do. Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Okay.
I'm interested. Well, we can go more into that when we read Colin's book because I've heard that there's some pretty like they've kept the books at times but kind of veered off at times too, which is fairly consistent.
Yeah,
with what they've done so far,
and probably a good thing for modern show.
Well, yeah, no, and I just more so mean that like even just in the sense of skipping Benedict's book, which I don't think is a bad thing at all, but like I guess in the books. Penelope has been on the marriage market for like 10 years at that point.
Oh.
Whereas like in the show, it had only been like a couple.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that.
So yeah, so it's just little differences here and there. I know in the show we know that Philippa marries Nigel Burbuck.
Oh.
We do know that because they mentioned it in the second epilogue of
in the book.
In the book. In the Duke and I, they mentioned that in the second.
Right. Yeah, I do remember that.
But in the show, she's married to someone completely different.
Right. I did see that. Okay.
Which I thought was just kind of interesting. Which, thank God, because the show Nigel Burbuck is not my favorite.
Is he worse than the book version?
I feel like in the book, he's not in the show. He was conniving.
Oh,
like it felt like everything he was doing was very contrived and conniving. Whereas in the books, he was just not all the way there. And he loved her. He loved Daphne as much as like anyone, whatever. But you know, and it's not an excuse for his actions, but like the show Nigel was intentional.
Oh.
With how he like did things, went about his nasty things.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. He was just portrayed worse. I get it.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Like he was really just rude and
Weird.
So,
well, let's talk about what we're drinking before we get into it.
okay, let's do it.
Okay. What did we coin it? The
Crabtree Tonic.
The Crabtree Tonic, because Benedict gets sick and Mrs. Crabtree makes him a tonic that Mr. Crabtree throws into the bushes and it kills the bushes.
And it kills bushes. And she does not know.
Yeah, she thinks it helped him.
And we decided to blend it and like use frozen fruit, and it's really good.
Yeah, we use frozen pineapples. It's really yummy. But yeah, it's made with midori, rum, and vodka and pineapple juice, and then we put some seltzer water in it, and it's really good.
It's delicious. All right, should we get into this motherfucker? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. The story starts off with Sophie Beckett, who is the bastard of the Earl of Penwood. Richard Gunningworth is his name. At the age of around 3 years old, Sophie was told by her grandmother, who was her caretaker at the time, that she was going to live with her father because her grandmother was sick. Like she was withering away. The Earl decided to take Sophie in, as she was like basically sitting on his doorstep, and she had a note in her jacket pocket. Oh. And he reached in, found the note, and he read it, and he was like, all right, come on in.
He's like, fine. Yeah. I gotta raise you.
Yeah, I guess. Come on in. But he did raise her as his ward, not as his daughter.
Right.
Because having a bastard daughter it's not good. It's not good.
Not a good look.
Yeah. But everyone in the household actually did know that Sophie was his bastard because she looked so much like him and so much like his mother and like other family members that were in that family.
Okay.
He was only around Penwood Park a couple of times a year during the first like couple years that she had been there. And she only really got a chance to talk to him for only about a couple minutes every single time that he was there. He'd casually ask her about her studies, and she'd tell him that she was very proficient in, I think, speaking French and arithmetic were her specialties. But it was all very casual.
Just doing the bare minimum when it comes to even checking in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
So she was there for about 7 years alone in the nursery, I think is where they stay before they hit, I actually don't know what age, but I'm going to assume, because they have like a nursery area.
It's really confusing. And then they just hire people to raise her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the people in the household raised her. But it was 7 years alone before the Earl decided that he was going to marry. She was super excited about this, hoping that her new stepmother would take her in as one of her own and that they would all be just one big happy family. It makes me sad.
And now we enter a Cinderella story.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it was also mentioned that the Earl would be spending more time at Penwood Park and around her as well once he got married, because that's kind of where he would like settle down.
Is Penwood Park like their manor?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's kind of
house.
Yeah, and I think
like
it's in
Aubrey Hill.
Yeah, Aubrey Hall. Yeah, and I think it is in the country. I actually couldn't be sure about that if I tried.
It's not that
big of a deal at all. But yeah, it is their home.
Okay.
When the Earl and the new Countess arrives at Penwood Park, she came in with her 2 young daughters, whose names are Rosamond and Posy. Is that how you said it?
I said Rosamond.
I read it, so I don't know.
Me too. Wait, I think it's like Rosamond.
Rosamond.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I listened to a part of it. Rosamond. Yeah.
Okay, Rosamond.
And Posy. Yeah, Posy does definitely right.
Posy was straightforward.
Yeah. I can't really fuck that up.
I feel like I didn't fuck that one up for sure. Rosamond is 11 years old, while Posy is 10 years old and at the same age as Sophie. While the Countess and her daughters were being introduced to all the household servants, finally they get to Sophie. And within a couple seconds, the new Countess is able to see that Sophie is the Earl's bastard. And she's her like, whole demeanor
you're a
changes.
bastard.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Yeah. And her whole demeanor changes. It's pretty instant.
Yeah.
It is clear that the Countess is not happy that Sophie is living under the same roof. And her 2 daughters Rosamond kind of takes on the same
attitude towards her.
And Posy does, but reluctantly.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
2 days later, the Countess, whose name is, I don't know how to say this.
Oh, it's Araminta.
Araminta. Okay. Do you want to know something funny?
What did you say? Amarantha?
Yes.
Me too. Like first, I even wrote it down in my notes, like Amarantha. Because she also reminds me of Amarantha.
100.
The way that she acts.
100%. I'm not even joking. Like, I couldn't even get on board with her actual real name at any point because I just kept saying, every time I saw her name, I was like, Amarantha. I was like, fuck, that's not her name. I need to get it right before we do this fucking podcast.
We can call her Amarantha.
I'll figure it out. God. Araminta. Is it Araminta or Araminta?
I think it's Araminta.
Araminta. Okay. So Araminta brings in her 2 daughters to join Sophie on her lessons with the governess. And the governess, I think, is her name is Miss Timmons, which doesn't matter, but.
And that's like a nanny?
It's a governess is basically.
Like a teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. Like a homeschool teacher.
Yeah. And maybe has more duties outside of that in terms of helping like raise the children, because a governess isn't obviously just teaching them like knowledgeable, like educational things. It's more so in terms of books. It's more so like life education too.
Oh, okay.
Like how to ride a horse,
like manners.
Yeah, manners. How to ride a horse, like
society expectations.
Yeah, that's kind of my
interpretation
of that.
Got it. Okay.
She asked Miss Timmons to take her daughters to view the house and take a tour, and she has a talk with Sophie alone, where she tells her that she doesn't want her to be seen or heard, and that her presence in the house is an insult to her.
Rude.
And it was very. This conversation was very intense.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
This is still the
Sophie's 10 years old.
Is this the first chapter?
No, this is the prologue.
Oh my god, still in the prologue. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I was very detailed today. Leave me alone.
No, that's okay.
Just joking. For 4 years, Sophie did her best to stay out of the Countess's way and her daughters as well. Though it was made hard by the fact that she had to take lessons with her 2 daughters. Rosamond was also a complete cunt, and it wrote punt, but I said cunt. Rosamond is a cunt.
She's not a punt.
Yeah. And would do everything that she could to mess with Sophie, including pinching her and poking her in the belly. She would like hit her hand. Like it was very aggressive whenever Miss Timmons was looking away. Then one day, the Earl had a heart attack and died in the garden.
Oh, yeah.
The Countess was super pissed about this because she was never able to produce an heir during the years that they were together.
Yeah, wasn't they were going to kick her out? And she's like, well, I might be pregnant.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, well, let's see.
Yes, exactly. So they did end up reading the will that the Earl left, and it designated a yearly allowance of about £2,000 or £6,000 if she agrees to take in Sophie and care for her until she reaches the age of 20. He also left a dowry for all 3 girls.
That's
a
very
sizable
important.
Dowry.
Yeah.
Seeing as £2,000 is not nearly enough money to live on, she agreed to take in Sophie, but she was not happy about it. So she wanted to tell Sophie the news herself, but apparently she left out some of the details.
Some important info.
So basically, if you've read any Cinderella story or watched any Cinderella movie, you are completely caught up.
Truly, she's the evil stepmother. Oh my god.
Literally completely caught up. It's crazy.
And it just gets, I mean, the similarities end like what, chapter 5?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah.
This is Cinderella story through chapter 3.
Okay, right off the bat, here's my issue, right? I was honestly irritated. Like physically, like I was about to throw my phone across because I read it on my phone, like in like an audiobook or
an ebook.
Kindle. Yeah, an ebook.
Oh, nice.
And it made me want to throw my phone across the room because this isn't even like a retelling in a way that, you know, it takes the form. Like the first book of ACOTAR, right? That's obviously has a ton of similarities and parallels to Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an exact retelling, but it's similar, right?
Yeah.
This is fucking word for word. Julia Quinn said, I don't have any ideas.
I gotta keep writing. These first 2 books are really successful.
Yeah, what?
Gotta keep going.
Julia Quinn, get your own. Like, I hate this. I know a lot of people like this. I would have liked it if it didn't take so much from Cinderella. I mean, it was fucking identical.
Just the fact. I mean, she had to have 2 daughters.
Yeah, and even just like the stepmother, like
she had to be a cunt.
Yeah.
She was so mean.
And the household, like the servants in the household, like her, like I mean, feel like they're kind of her, you know, her mice or her like,
Yeah,
you
the
know,
animals.
pets. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I honestly was irritated by it.
It's funny. Let's keep going.
Okay, chapter 1. Lady Whistledown Society Papers points out that Colin and Benedict are up for grabs this season, and there will be a Bridgerton masquerade ball next Monday, and everyone is talking about it. It's going to be all the rave.
Did you say Colin and Benedict?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's what I said.
I think the drink is getting to me. Okay, all right, continue.
There's a lot of alcohol in it, you guys.
That rum was 100 proof.
Oh, that's funny. Will someone catch the eye of the Bridgerton men? It's so funny too, because when I'm sorry, this is not important, but when Lady Whistledown mentions all of the eligible Bridgerton men, she always has to say something about Gregory and how he's like too young.
She's like, except
obviously.
for Gregory, of course. Like, he's only 14, okay? I'm not looking at him.
I just feel like it's so like suspect. Like, why would you mention him every time? We understand. We know.
I don't know. That is so funny.
Did you ever notice that?
Yeah.
I was like, no one cares about Gregory.
There is another one, and he's really young, but we're not talking about him.
We're literally not talking about him. We're not, okay? Okay. It's like, girl, chill out. Okay. Sophie is now full-blown Cinderella. She is quote unquote lady's maid and occasionally a housemaid as well whenever Amaranta.
We can't just say Amarantha.
Araminta, oh my God, decided she wasn't working hard enough. She basically was doing everything around the house. Like, it was everything.
Yeah, she was doing like 4 jobs. 4 jobs in one.
Right, 100%. Rosamond will often ask for tea, wait to drink it for about an hour when it's cold, and then she'll have Sophie get her a new pot. She's a bitch.
Yeah, she did it on purpose.
She's the worst.
That's so annoying.
Posey asks Sophie about her costume for the Bridgerton masquerade ball. She's going as a mermaid and apparently looks extremely unflattering. And it is said in the book that Posey wasn't able to shed off her, quote, baby fat. And Araminta has been on both girls this year about snagging one of the Bridgerton men to marry this season.
Okay.
Posey is not the favorite of Araminta.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll see that reflected as well. Sophie reflects on how she wishes she could be a part of society, and reading Lady Whistledown is her way of pretending she's a part of it. Quote, just once, she'd like to be the one stepping into the coach and attending the ball. Instead, she was the one dressing others for their nights on the town, cinching Posey's corset or dressing Rosamond's hair or polishing a pair of Araminta's shoes.
Wow, great job.
Difficult to get through. That was a long ass quote. Oh, by the way, this is not that important, but I did put it in here. Sophie is an avid reader. I thought that was going to be important.
It might be. Oh, no, it was not, because you read the
It
whole
really
thing.
wasn't at all important.
Oh.
It was like not important at all, but she's an avid reader.
Okay, it's just a little bit of personality.
Yeah.
Personality.
It does not come back around.
It doesn't come back.
Did you not get a full circle moment with that? Sophie thinks her father left her with nothing but a roof over her head and a job till she was 20, basically. She knew Araminta wouldn't give up £4,000 a month, but she made her a maid. And none of that monthly salary had gone to Sophie.
Right.
Literally, so she...
Unpaid.
What? That's crazy.
It is crazy. Like, it's criminal.
That's literally criminal. However, she realizes that Araminta has kept her on even after her 20th birthday passed, since she is now 21.
Right. And the contract or whatever was until she was 20.
Yeah, and she's a spinster.
Shit. That's not good.
She's a fucking spinster. Oh my God. A servant spinster.
Oh, God. What could be worse? I don't know. I don't know.
A servant bastard spinster.
That's a lot. It's like 3 strikes against her.
God. But because she kept her on for that long, she is thankful to still have a roof over her head. She says, if Araminta was the devil she knew, the rest of the world is the devil she didn't know. Did she want to know which one was worse?
Nope.
Not really. A few days later, aka the day of the ball, Sophie is helping Araminta alter her gown for the masquerade, which is that night. I don't know why I said that twice.
Oh, I missed it. It's okay.
I said, aka the day of the ball, which is that night. By the way, we're at the day of the ball.
Okay.
If you don't know, already know. Rosamond comes in and asks Sophie to stitch up the rip in her gown for the masquerade ball as well. Then Posey comes in and asks Sophie if she can do her hair for the night. Araminta goes out of her way to tell Rosamond that she looks beautiful and will look extra beautiful at the ball. Hopefully she'll snatch up one of those Bridgerton brothers. Rosamond is going as Marie Antoinette. And I thought this was funny because...
So topical.
So... I thought this was funny because Sophie at one point goes, are you going to wear like a red like necklace?
Oh,
or like
because she got
red,
her...
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good...
And I was like,
that was a good line.
She's funny. She is really funny.
That was a good line.
I
I love the outfits at the masquerade. I love
yeah.
Lady Whistledown in this book because I haven't given a shit about her at all.
Oh, I was thriving for Lady
Yes,
Whistledown.
I love it. They're good.
I was frothing at the mouth for a new issue.
They're so good.
It's so good. She unknowingly, or maybe not so unknowingly, does not give Posey any compliments, which makes Posey feel really sad. To remedy the situation, Sophie quickly tells Posey that she will look beautiful tonight and that she looks beautiful in general, which does lift Posey's spirits. I thought that was really sweet.
I like Posey.
So do I. Sophie then says she wishes that she could go to the ball in front of all of them, to which Araminta, Rosamond, and Posey start laughing literally at her.
Oh no. They're like, oh, you poor sweet child.
Yeah.
Never.
I thought it was like, Posey, you bitch.
Yeah, what the fuck? We just said that we liked you.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Stop laughing. Behind Posey, she sees the housekeeper, Mrs. Gibbons, wink at her, and she doesn't know why.
She's like, I wish I could go to the ball, and they're laughing. She's like, just wait.
Just wait. She's like frothing at the mouth. Let's get these three bitches out of here. Of course, I knew where that was going. Oh, Jesus. After her stepmother and stepsisters leave for the ball 3 hours later, Mrs. Gibbons and the rest of the staff tell Sophie that they're going to get her ready to go to the ball as well. For one night, she is going to be a princess. She was going to be the belle of the ball. They put her in a gorgeous silver gown.
Wait, is that a reference to Beauty and the Beast? A belle of the ball?
I don't know. They did say that, though. Like, literally word for word, belle of the ball.
I'm going to Google that while you keep talking.
Okay. They put her in a gorgeous silver gown that used to be her grandmother's from her father's side, obviously. And they put her in her stepmother's white, like, satin shoes. And then she puts on a mask.
Her shoes, because no one else's shoes would fit her.
Yeah, her stepmother. That's why I said her stepmother's white satin shoes.
Yeah, but they had to put her. They tried other shoes, and she wouldn't fit into any of them, and they had to pick her shoes.
Yeah, because Posey and Rosamond have big ass feet.
Yeah,
which is not a bad thing because I have big ass feet. I have like size 11 feet.
Yeah, it's a feet or feet. It's whatever.
We're not feet shaming.
No, never. Just feet kink shaming. Just kidding.
No,
just kidding. That was a reference to the last book that we read.
Oh my God, literally.
That was my quote of the week.
Oh, that's so funny. They tell her that if she is going to go, she needs to be back before her stepmother and her stepsisters want to leave. So basically, she has to leave the ball by midnight. And I said, does this story remind you of anything?
Yeah.
I was irritated at this point. Like, I can't even express.
Her carriage was painted orange.
Oh, I didn't.
No, just kidding. It wasn't.
So I do not remember that. I literally, if that would have been my 13th reason, I would have fucking chucked my phone.
Funny if she had expressed that carriage was orange.
Oh my God, I would have been irritated. Okay.
Okay, wait. The belle of the ball. It was just a phrase to describe the most popular and beautiful young woman at a ball or a dance.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's not about. Well, I got confused. I got confused in my fairy tales.
Benedict Bridgerton is standing at the masquerade ball, reflecting how being the second child of 8 siblings feels like he has 100 siblings. Like, it's very overwhelming and also at times lonely.
Lonely, yeah. And he feels like he doesn't have his own identity.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He's sitting there when a woman, comes up to him and is like, Mr. Bridgerton, which one are you? Are you number 2?
Which one are you? I can imagine this happening.
This would be so irritating too.
It happens to me kind of too, because like I have a lot of family that are like, oh, you're a wiser. Which one are you? Like, who's your mom?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see that. Yeah. It would suck though. Like it's like that sort of thing has to only happen at family reunions though.
Yeah. events like that where there's a lot of family. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine it happening on a daily basis.
Oh, no. Yeah, true. No, it doesn't. It does not.
Yeah. Ugh, it would suck. He's annoyed at this because he feels like he doesn't have his own identity and no one seems to know anything about him outside of the fact that he's a Bridgerton. And no one really seems to care to know anything more
makes sense.
about him. As he tries to avoid speaking with most of the guests because they seem to annoy him, he runs into his mother, Lady Violet Bridgerton.
We love Violet. Who
is one of my favorite people ever in the world. If there's a redeemable quality about these books, it is literally Violet Bridgerton.
And Edmund, R.I.P.
Yeah. I wish we would have known more about him.
Yeah.
Violet asks Benedict to dance with Prudence Featherington, to which he's basically like, no, thank you. Prudence is the worst. I will dance with Penelope. And his mother's like, yeah, perfect. And apparently that's what she intended the whole time.
She knew.
Yeah. I love that for her.
Love her.
His mother had a soft spot for the ladies of the Ton who did not get asked to dance very much. They called these the wallflowers. People like Penelope.
I'd be a wallflower.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. You would. Maybe would. Not that you would want to. Like, you just like would be. Okay. I didn't mean that like that.
Oh, no.
What I mean is like I could see you just being like, keep me out of the shit.
No, for sure.
Like an Eloise.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Literally like that. It's show Eloise.
And I knew what you meant the whole time.
Oh my God, fuck me. So done with talking. I hate this. Why did we do this? Okay.
This is our 19th time.
Microphones should be more expensive. Okay. Just joking. She was on her, by the way, Penelope, back to Penelope. Okay. She was on her 3rd season and didn't have really any luck on the marriage market still. As Benedict is walking over to where Penelope is, he reflects on how he feels like actually Penelope's pretty dope as a person. He doesn't say that. He's not like she's dope, but he's like, yeah, I actually do kind of like her. She's very like well-mannered. And one day I do think she'll find a good match. It won't probably be anyone that I know. But she'll find a good match. Wink, 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 wink,
yeah.
wink, wink. I literally wrote wink, wink. Yeah, right. Right as he's about to reach Penelope Featherington, he's about to call out her name, and she smiles, and everyone in the ballroom turns to face like the entrance, and he notices that, and so he turns around to see the most beautiful woman he's ever seen in his entire life in a silver dress.
So she comes in, and everyone's like,
"Yeah."
Wow.
Yeah, she makes the Cinderella entrance. Think like a Cinderella story with Hilary Duff when she walks down the stairs in the wedding dress.
Chad Michael Murray.
That's literally how I feel. I think it was. Started out like any other, just another girl that took my breath away.
Did she sing that?
And then it was playing.
Oh, I was hoping Hilary Duff had voiced that track.
No, it was a guy that sang that.
Dang it. Okay, sorry. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
It's a great movie.
But I do like it.
We should rewatch that.
We should.
It's a good movie. He notices he finds her so beautiful because she looks happy. And that happiness, that glow is radiating from within her, which is rare, is a rarity.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I was getting excited about this book during these chapters.
Yeah, I do too. Like, I like that he was like, it's not that she's physically attractive, which I'm sure she is. Very, very beautiful. Yeah. It's the fact that they're just not, they have to be so poised in this world, I'm assuming, and they have to be so calm and collected. Yeah. With how they show emotion. And she's just unabashedly herself, it seems like, at this ball.
Yeah, she's never been to a ball. She's just so excited to be there. She's so happy. She's glowing, and I love it.
Yeah, and I think he like really appreciates that.
Yeah, it's
she's very
it's
sure
rare,
of herself.
like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. He immediately makes his way over to her and completely forgetting he was supposed to dance with Penelope, which that broke my heart. Like, literally my heart broke.
He didn't even care.
He did not care. He did not even give her a second glance. He just ran over to Sophie.
Like, oh, I gotta go see what's going on over here.
Literally. As he reaches her, he sees that there is a gaggle of suitors that also noticed how beautiful she was. And so he walks up to her and he goes, "I'm sorry, fellas, but I believe that I had this dance reserved." So obviously this is a lie. Sophie knew it. Benedict knew it. But Sophie was impressed by his boldness. And let's be honest, he is super hot. So she decides to take his hand.
I would have done the same thing. I'd be like, yep, get me out of here.
Honestly, same. Oh my God.
That was a good move.
I'd been like, you know what? I'm sold.
Yeah. We're done here, fellas.
Bye-bye, boys. She does admit that she has no idea how to dance. And he offers to teach her on the private terrace. which is scandalous.
Very scandalous.
That is a scandalous thing for him to say.
Can't say words like private.
Terrace in the same sentence. So at this point, she has no idea who Benedict is. So she asks him how he knows about a private terrace. And he is taken aback because he's like, who doesn't know who I am?
Everyone knows who I am.
Right. And not in like a cocky way, but just literally, I don't know a person that doesn't.
Way. Yeah.
Yeah. The Bridgertons are like royalty in the ton.
It seems.
Yeah. Everyone knows who they are. So this is shocking. She agrees to allow him to teach her to dance, and he leads her outside of the ballroom, like into the hall. While they're in the hall, they run into Colin, who jokingly scolds Benedict for weaseling his way out of the dance with Penelope, leaving Colin to take Benedict's place. And he's like upset about it. Like kind of in a joking way, but kind of not.
He's like, I had to dance with Penelope. Foreshadowing. It's whatever. It's whatever. We'll get there next couple weeks.
It's at this moment that Sophie realizes exactly who they are, Bridgertons. This does make Sophie nervous, but the way Colin and Benedict are joking and like mocking one another makes her laugh. She enjoys watching two siblings who genuinely love each other and playfully poke fun at one another. She realizes that even Posey, who is polite in asking her to do things, it's still doesn't like, it's still asking her to do things, and she doesn't really have a choice to say no, if that makes sense. Like she's, even though Posey's nice about it, she's still technically her servant.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That makes sense. After Colin leaves, Benedict attempts to get to know Sophie. He asks her name. He asks her a couple questions, but she's basically like, I'm not revealing a damn thing to you. And that is her plan because she doesn't want to reveal anything that might let him know her identity.
Right.
They talk about their favorite colors. She actually is like, what's your favorite color? And he's like, green. Oh, Benedict says blue. Sorry. She says green. She goes blue. And then she's like, well, why is your favorite color blue? And he's like, what? No one's ever asked me such a deep question before.
My brother does that all the time.
Does what?
He asks why. He's like, how was your day? Good. Why?
Does he?
Yeah, and it takes everyone aback all the time.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
And with your favorite color. So that's so funny. It reminded me of him.
Oh, okay. I love that. She says, she's like, yeah, he's taken back. He's basically like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, my favorite color is green because of the grass, the way that it smells, the way that it feels. And he recognizes that she loves living in the country just by the way that she's talking about like grass. And Sophie is loving spending time with Benedict, and it makes her regret not having the courage to leave Penwood Park and her stepmothers and stepsisters. Her stepmother and stepsister. She doesn't have more than one stepmother.
I missed it.
She just has one, okay? They have a very tender moment where they lightly discuss the future and what they might miss in their lives if it were to change drastically. He asks her if she wants her life to change, and she says yes. He tells her then, let's start tonight, and tomorrow you'll be transformed. And she replies, ... Tonight I am transformed, she whispers. Tomorrow I will disappear. Benedict drew her close and dropped the softest, most fleeting of kisses onto her brow. Then we must pack a lifetime in this very night.
I love it. Rural.
I couldn't even like summarize that because I was like, I have to just like quote it.
Whirlwind romance in the making. Was that the end?
Yeah, that's the end of mine.
Okay.
It's very detailed.
Oh, I have this highlighted in red.
Oh God.
What?
Did I miss something?
No, I just have this one thing highlighted in red, and it was like he realized because she looked so damn happy, like that phrase. But there was a Viscount named Guelph. What kind of name is that?
Yeah, you're right.
That Violet was talking about.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. Like, have you ever seen those TikToks where people are like, we're in their head when a name comes up? I'm not even joking. Like, unless it's something as easy and manageable as Sophie, if it's anything that's like, or Violet, like I know how to say Violet, I know how to say Sophie, but if it's anything difficult, I'm like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If it is a real person, I might try a little harder.
Guelph is so funny. Guelph. Okay. Then there's this one thing that I also wrote in. It must have been when like people were coming up to him. I don't remember what it was, but it says Benedict suddenly had to get away. It was either that or kill the twittering Ninny Hammer.
Yeah.
So he also has like a lot of
pent up rage,
aggressive and violence somewhere.
We have to address this really quick. Mm-hmm. The fucking violence in the men of, I don't know, if it's just Bridgerton men or if it's just in general. I mean, we need to reflect on how Anthony literally kicks Kate in the stomach and steps on her hand.
Was
at
that
one point
when
during the
he
recording?
caught her under his desk? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because I remember you texted me and said that he kicked her in the stomach. I'm like, I don't remember that. But then I remember he stepped on her hand.
Yeah. He kicked her in the and she was like out of breath. She was like wheezing.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. What is and then obviously he threatens to kill like 5 people of the ton like within a book.
Anthony,
and I'm just like, you know, already we're in 3 or 2 chapters I think at this point.
Yeah.
And Benedict's already wanting to kill people.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is happening?
And Simon, because you said maybe it's just Bridgerton. Simon was, I don't think he was like that, was he?
I don't think he was nearly. Well, no, remember we had points at time where I
You
genuinely thought that he was
going
going to get physical with Daphne.
Yeah.
Where he also thought he was going to. Like
okay, true.
Where he like
true.
had to walk away because he thought he was so angry he might hurt her. And I was like, you know, so maybe it's not just the Bridgertons, but Jesus.
It's just the writer. It's just the author.
Yeah, what is this? The writer does seem to like confuse like violence with passion.
Which is scary.
It's very scary. This would, if someone stepped on my hand, this so far would work with me on Benedict.
Yes,
so far.
Okay.
But the second he did anything violent, I would be so fucking far gone. It wouldn't even be a joke.
All right. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. Lady Whistledown is excited to hear about or see all of the different costumes at the masquerade ball. And I thought that was so funny. Sophie says, dance with me impulsively. Benedict takes her to a private terrace as promised, which is right above the ballroom where they can faintly hear the music. He teaches her to dance and she picks it up pretty quick, if I do say so myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to ask her questions to figure out who she is. And he's actually really intuitive, picking up on things about her, even though she's trying not to reveal too much. She reveals that she knows that he is Benedict Bridgerton. And she had pieced it together thanks to Colin and the gossip sheet. She tells him she knows he won a silly little horse race last month. And he's like, it wasn't silly. Like, I won $100 or whatever.
Pounds.
However, what do they say their money?
They're already using pounds at this time frame.
Oh, okay. Was it? Why do I want? What is quid?
It's like it's literally.
Is that similar?
It's another word for like money for them, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not anything like it's not like a different. Yeah, it's not a
Okay.
different like amount of money.
Got it. Okay. So okay.
I actually have asked my London friends about that. Another shout out to Mel and Harley.
Are they listening?
I don't know.
I hope so. Hi. If so,
I gotta tell them about the last episode.
Yeah.
Shout them out.
Anyways, he's like, it wasn't silly. I won money. And she says, horse races are almost always silly, which I almost made that my quote of the week until I kept reading. Sophie gets lost in the music and the dancing, and they're staring intensely in each other's eyes. She feels desire, and she suddenly understands the gossips from the other maids, and they're both fully leaning into the romance that's happening because she has mentioned that after tonight she has to disappear. So they're just like going for it. They do kiss. We get a super early kiss. It was nice. They both enjoyed it. There were no witnesses. Benedict gets hard.
Yeah.
He's like, can you feel that?
Yeah. What in the world? What in the world? These men are so horny.
Oh, yeah.
Like they can have sex with anything and anyone in any place that they really genuinely want to. Like they have literal sex at their disposal at any time. They have brothels. They could pay for it at any time. And these men are the horniest men.
Yeah.
By far.
I have no comment.
Like, where's the logic in that?
I don't know.
It's because they're meeting their soulmates. That's why they're horny.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it.
That's what it is. I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Erase everything else. They seductively take each other's gloves off so they can feel each other with their bare skin, which is like super, super scandalous. He's like, who are you? And she says, I can't tell you yet. But the yet is a lie. He's like, I want to see you tomorrow. I want to see where you live. I want to pet your dog. I want your future. I want every piece of you. And she's like, please, like, stop. It's like, don't say anything else. Like, this is too much. It's not going to happen. Then, which is like, all, by the way, that's like huge.
She was kind of breadcrumbing him a little bit though, because at one point when they were dancing, she was like, he's like, what do you see? And she was looking into his eyes and she goes, my soul, my very soul. And if that's not a line, I don't know what is.
Damn.
She was breadcrumbing that man. I'm telling you right now.
They were
kind of
both
feel
feeling
for him.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
They were both feeling it.
For sure.
That's crazy. That declaration, I want to see you tomorrow. I want to see you where you live. I want to pet your dog. I want your future. I want every piece of you. They've met for what, 25 minutes at this point?
Yeah. It's been a very short amount of time.
That's crazy. She's like, please don't say anything else. Then a bell rings and it's time to take off the masks, which means it's midnight. And Sophie's like, fuck, I gotta go now. And she like literally runs away. She just books it. At one point, she is getting sad. Oh, this is, I think you just mentioned this. She's getting sad at her life and how she is supposed to go back to shining. How am I supposed to go back to shining Amarantha's shoes after this? And he asks her, like, do you like your life? And she said, no. Do you want it to change? And she said, yes. And that was the last. So I wasn't sure where that was. I had to put it in. Anyways.
No, yeah, but she did reflect on her life several times during this.
Yeah,
he was making her regret.
So great. Like, how am I supposed to go back home after this?
Well, and I will be honest. Like, I kind of was like, why don't you leave?
You can.
Like, I get that this unknownness is terrifying. Like, and I honestly kind of feel for the girl because
she doesn't have any money.
She doesn't have any money, and she does say that like the one thing that people need is like references, and that like Araminta was not going to give her any references.
She doesn't have anything.
So I do actually kind of feel for her, but like I just wish she would have just tried it because there honestly, I can't say that anything like couldn't be anything worse because I could not say that, but like
because it happens
because it does happen, but like I think it might. It would have been worth it for me. Yeah. I couldn't have stayed in that situation.
No. Yeah, you have to risk it
to get the biscuit.
That's right. I always say that.
So do I.
Sophie runs through the crowd and even straight into Araminta, but she doesn't recognize her, thankfully. Benedict is on her heels trying to catch her, and she bolts into her carriage and they leave, disappearing into the night. Lady Whistledown saw Benedict with the lady in silver, but try as she might, she has not been able to identify her. Benedict is very upset indeed that she had gotten away. They had felt a soul-searing connection. If Lady Danbury hadn't stopped him with her cane to tell him her opinion of the evening's costumes, he might have caught her.
I love Lady Danbury.
She's like, did you see that mermaid?
Look at that mermaid.
The Featheringtons are dressed as fruit.
Did you see that Penelope Featherington is dressed as a leprechaun?
What is up with that? Why did they leave her out of the fruit bowl?
I want
dresses.
Because obviously her mother has beef with her. Here's my thing. Penelope at times, she dressed herself as a leprechaun. I can't even feel bad for her. I can't. I genuinely don't. I don't.
That is such a funny costume.
A leprechaun? Are you joking?
Where did you get the idea?
Oh, she just went and visited her like Scottish or Irish
cousins.
Cousins, yeah. That's exactly what they said.
Oh,
that's what Lady Whistledown said. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I remember every single one of Lady Whistledown's society papers.
They're really good.
They're so good.
Benedict thinks how he didn't even know the color of her eyes, and that was the most upsetting part about the whole thing. But he realized he's still holding her glove, which smells musty instead of like soap, which is confusing, and it has the initials SLG and a family crest on it. He doesn't recognize them, but Violet would know. And now there's a glimmer of hope. It didn't take long for Sophie to dress down and become unassuming again once she got home. She thinks how Benedict was the stuff of a young girl's dreams, but not her dreams. He would never marry an earl's byblow, and certainly not a housemaid, but she had him for a night. She grabs her favorite stuffed dog and cries herself to sleep. Byblow is like the worst term.
It's the worst term I've ever heard in my life.
They say it so many times. No, a byblow. Oh my God.
Horrible.
It is.
I get that it was a phrase, probably in 1815.
Yeah.
But for fuck's sake,
it just sounds so bad.
It sounds horrific.
Just a byblow. Byblow is such a horrible term. Anyways.
But byblow is, who would ever say that to anyone ever?
Byblow is so crazy.
That's literally so insulting.
Violet knows immediately the glove is from House Penwood and gives Benedict a brief history. He tells her he met someone with that glove, and she's like, how did you get that glove? And he's like, oh, it was very innocent, I swear. Nothing happened. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, nothing. He only just took her lip virginity.
Oh, he did.
And the ones on her face.
Once again.
He did, though. He really did.
Oh, I know.
It's fucked up.
She liked it.
She isn't also... he doesn't know this,
society.
But she's not in society. So
yeah.
It's unfortunately not as big of a deal.
No, none of it should be. Anyway, she is very excited. He seems to be in love and says she will invite the Dowager Countess over for tea if it will help, but I don't like her. She kind of sucks and she's kind of ambitious. And Benedict accuses...
Not really kind of. I think she's like, I fucking hate her.
Yeah, she's like, she's not my favorite person. Benedict accuses Violet of being ambitious as well. And she says, well, I just want my children to marry for love. I'd let them marry a pauper if it would bring them happiness. Sue me.
What's a popper?
A popper.
Oh,
A popper.
A popper? What is that?
You drank that way too fast.
Did I?
I don't know what a popper is.
Me either.
It's just a street person. Wait, let's look it up real quick.
No, it's not. A street.
P-A-U-P-E-R.
What?
A very poor person is how it's fucking pronounced.
Oh my god. It's literally a slang term for poor people?
Yeah.
That's no fucking way.
According to dictionary.com, a very poor person is a pauper. So I was a little bit wrong.
There's no way.
So Violet would let any of her
I'd
children.
let you marry one of the poor if it meant you were happy.
Yeah. They don't even need a dowry.
They're so poor. Oh my god.
Lord. And Sophie is really poor. She literally has no money.
She's supposed to have a dowry, though.
Yeah, but she does not get ever, right?
I don't know.
Okay,
we'll see.
We'll see.
TBD.
All right.
TBC.
Okay. To be continued.
Yeah.
He asks Violet if she knows where the Penwood house is because he has to go right now. He has to meet those two daughters. And she tells him. So, okay, preface this next part. Araminta. I did put Amarinta.
Dude.
It's all over the place. Araminta is the evil stepmother. She's so mean and demeaning and cruel and evil towards Sophie. And I don't think I really captured that a whole lot. So I just needed to preface before I continue.
She is a, like, I haven't said this about her. She's a cunt.
Yeah. She's very cruel. Very cruel.
Very cunty. But she's not serving cunt. She just is one.
Okay.
Did you react? Okay.
Because I didn't get it at first, and then I was like,
yes. Facts.
Araminta summons Sophie to ask what happened to her brand new satin slippers that are scuffed. Someone wore them. It was the shoes that Sophie had worn to the ball. Though she is able to keep her cool, she still gets blamed for it. Araminta tells her to polish all of her shoes, and she has, like, goddamn it, 80 pairs of shoes. That's so many shoes. Before she can pile even more duties on, the butler interrupts with a note that there is a gentleman caller. Araminta reads the note and gets excited, tells him to get the tea and biscuits and use the best silver. Sophie asks what she can do to prepare. Araminta says, make sure Rosamond and Posy's hair looks good, and then ask Rosamond to lock you into my closet. And she can't bring herself to nod in understanding, and Araminta gets in her face and says, do you understand me? Sophie nods meekly and asks, why do you keep me here? And she says, I find you useful. And then she walks away. She asks Posy instead to lock her away, and Posy does reluctantly. And their hair was fine. She didn't have to do their hair.
She literally didn't have to do one thing to their hair.
Why did she have to get locked in the closet, though? Was she afraid that she was going to come down and, like, steal the attention away? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, my assumption is that Sophie's really beautiful. And
can't let anybody see you.
Listen, obviously Araminta is very insecure about Sophie in general. So maybe she feels like she'll steal the attention away, yeah, and then she'll have,
and her daughters will have to marry a pauper.
One of the paws.
Okay, all right. Lady Whistledown calls Posy's mermaid costume unflattering, but says the Featherington family was dressed up even worse. The two eldest daughters were dressed as an orange and an apple, and Portia as a bunch of grapes, and Penelope was a leprechaun. Penelope's like, I'm not going to be a banana. Like, I'm going to be a leprechaun. Yellow is not good for my complexion, mother.
Neither is a fucking green leprechaun shirt. Or like,
She's put on a leprechaun shirt.
Whatever the case, I'm sure she didn't look great.
No, I want to see it. Fan art.
I know it wasn't good because I know that Lady Whistledown made fun of it at least once.
That's so funny because that's her. She's like, Penelope dressed as a leprechaun. Like, it was fucking disgusting and ugly.
She looked fucking
What was she
horrible.
thinking?
Why would
she made that choice.
Some disgusting ass shit like that.
Anyways.
It's funny too, because I would say that about myself and be giggling and typing on my computer, like feet kicking, giggling.
Just making your own content.
Like shitting on myself. Like that'd be the funniest thing ever.
That is funny. Benedict waits for Araminta. For whatever reason, it's customary to leave a caller waiting for at least 15 minutes. That's super annoying.
It is.
He's nervous to meet her daughters and possibly his mystery lady. Araminta comes in and greets him enthusiastically, and he does note she's an attractive woman for a woman in her 40s. She is rude to the servants because they didn't bring out the right spoons, and it's because Sophie had been polishing them when you sent her away, and she's like, silence! We don't talk about Sophie. She's like, we'll use different spoons. It's okay. She mentions Sophie quite a few times, how she's a piece of shit. She should probably be fired. She never does anything right. I hate her. Fuck her. She's the worst person that's ever existed. And Benedict notes the deep frown lines on her face and pities this unknown Sophie. He's like, wow, this lady's kind of sucks. She says her daughters will be down soon. Rosamund and Posy are excited. Rosamund is most lovely, and Benedict says he's excited to meet Posy. I love how the men in this book really pick apart the mean women. It started with Simon calling out Mrs. Featherington for basically ignoring Penelope during introductions and not talking her up as much as her other two daughters, and that's why he danced with her that night.
Yeah, 100%.
And then Anthony telling Cressida Cowper, did I invite you into this conversation? Yep. Again, around Penelope. And now this with Benedict. So I do like that.
I do too.
Little aspect.
I do too.
When the girls enter the room, he knows immediately neither of them are her. But he does fawn over Posy just because Araminta preferred Rosamund. That's something that's interesting to know. They walk in the room, he's like, oh, it's not them. She ain't here.
Yeah,
that's
he does know right away.
That's interesting. Okay, so he starts...
because he said that Posy was too...
rotund.
Thickum.
Thickum. She didn't have the right shape.
She wasn't. That's what he said.
It's true, though. I mean, you can be taller and whatever. It doesn't matter. They're not her.
It doesn't matter. But he just that she wasn't of the same figure build. That's better. And that Rosamund had, I think, lighter hair.
Yeah, different color
hair. Yeah. So
it ain't her.
Yeah.
He starts asking Araminta if she has any extended family, any brothers or sisters, or nieces or nephews, aunts, uncles, cousins. He's trying hard to figure out who this girl is, and it's pretty funny, but because he ignores Posy and Rosamund completely. Rosamund then interjects and is like, did you enjoy yourself at the ball? Like, I saw you spending a lot of time with a lady in a silver dress. And like, the ball was awesome. I had so much fun. And she tries to get her identity, like the lady in silver's identity, out of Benedict, and he calls her his mystery woman, but in a way that implies that he knew who she was, but he's not gonna tell.
Yeah.
Then he's like, well, gotta go. This has been great. Bye. And they're like, oh, okay. Yes, great. Bye. Thank you so much for coming.
Kind of. Thank you.
I said again, I did not fully convey how terrible of a person Araminta is. She's angry and confused as to why Benedict came here. It obviously wasn't to call on either of like her daughters. She fully contradicts everything Posy says just because she's saying it. And Posy's like, well, maybe. And she's like, no, obviously that's wrong.
Yeah. Like he's outside in the carriage and he's like, has the glove, which we never actually figured out where that glove went the whole book, by the way. That I can cut that.
The other glove?
The glove literally never had a full circle moment because he has one of the gloves.
Oh yeah, he keeps it.
But does not have a sort of full circle moment. I'm just like saying. What was the point of that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, he's holding the glove, and Posy's like, "Oh, he's holding a glove," and she's like, "No, he's not." And then she's like, "Oh wait, yeah, he is."
Oh, he's holding a glove. So they see him look at the glove again. They can tell it has a family crest on it, and Araminta puts it all together. He was looking for his lady in silver, and because of the scuffed shoes, she knows it had to have been Sophie. So she confronts Sophie in the closet. So she comes, like, unlocks the closet, tells her she knows that she went to the ball, fires her, and tells her she better be out by morning. They have a shouting match. Sophie sticks up for herself, and Araminta slaps her. She tells her, you still have to finish polishing my shoes, and then locks her in the closet again. I said I would have pooped and peed on all of her shoes. She'd been in there for so long.
Literally, so long.
Like, I would have to pee.
Same.
I'm not going to avoid the shoes. Sophie
Facts.
wallows, thinks about how she doesn't have any money, nowhere to go. The slums are scary. She might as well leave, but a bus ticket is expensive. She's afraid of running into Benedict if she stays in London. He doesn't know how he'd react if he found her true identity, and she's afraid he'd make her his mistress. She decides she'll go back to the countryside. And she takes 2 shoe clips of Araminta that might get her some more money. And she doesn't allow herself to feel guilty because the way she's been treated by her.
And also, she's never been paid one day in her life.
Right. She literally doesn't have anything. And she does not polish any more shoes or poop and pee on them.
True.
Posey lets her out the next morning. Sophie leaves and she does not look back. And that's where I am leaving off.
I'll be honest, this is kind of where I was gagged. This is where I was interested.
Yeah.
This is where I was like, all right, finally we've kind of like strayed from Cinderella and now we're our own story.
It only lasts for a couple chapters.
Yeah, thank God. Because seriously, I was literally about to kick my wall in. I also was nervous that he was going to think one of the sisters was her. Oh, dude, I was like freaking out during that entire chapter.
Really? I wasn't.
And had like I was huge sigh of relief when that happened.
Yeah, because that would have been boring because they kind of suck. Like, get them out of here for now.
100%. Chapter 6. Lady Whistledown notes that it's been 3 years. Wait, it's been 3 years?
I think it's only been 2.
Yeah, I don't know why I said 3 years. Oh, no. Okay. Lady Whistledown notes that it's been 3 years since the last Bridgerton has married.
You just have to keep reading.
So I had to finish the sentence. That's it. Fuck.
Okay, 3 years since the last Bridgerton is married. Anthony?
Okay. Yeah. And Lady Bridgerton is getting increasingly annoyed by the fact that her unmarried older Bridgerton boys have not taken wives, aka Benedict and Colin. I think Benedict is like 30 at this point, and Colin is like 27. So Violet is a little less, doesn't care as much about Colin.
Did she mention?
Still gotta sow those oats.
Yeah, she's like got her eyes on him. Did she mention Gregory in that one?
Yeah, I'm sure she did. I didn't write it down. I didn't, but I'm like almost 99% positive that she did. She always mentions fucking Gregory, dude. Ugh. Okay. As of now, there are 5 Bridgerton grandchildren, but between Daphne and Simon and Kate and Anthony. They didn't explain whose was whose, but 5.
5 grandchildren.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Probably a good mix.
Are you looking to see if?
Yeah, chapter 6.
Yeah. Do it.
She did not mention Gregory.
She did not mention Gregory. We just looked it up. I know she did more than once because I remember thinking to myself, this is getting creepy.
That's hilarious.
Stop mentioning a child. Like literally,
Let's
it's
move on.
weird now. Yeah. Benedict is at a party at Philip Cavender's home, ... or his parents' home, actually. He is extremely bored because although this would have been something that he would have enjoyed in his youth, Anthony is now... Benedict...
Oh, no. Did you write to Anthony?
Yeah, I did.
I did the same thing throughout this whole process.
Son of a bitch.
It's Benedict's turn.
It's Benedict. Fuck. I hope I didn't do that more than once.
That's funny.
Oh my God. He's extremely bored because although this would have been something he would have enjoyed in his youth, Benedict is now 30 and drinking belligerently and partying constantly does not suit him. He also just recovered from a head cold, so he decided that he's going to leave. He's out of here. Unfortunately, this party is in the country and he'll have to stay at his own state called My Cottage, about an hour away. And from where the party is being held. He does decide to go find Philip, his host, to thank him for the invite and to let him know that he was leaving because that's just like proper etiquette at this time.
Yeah. Can't just Irish exit.
No, which is lame because I wish I could.
I would. So
yeah.
I'd be known for it.
I would then, I would there, I would now, I would anywhere. Okay, switch POVs to Sophie. It's been 2 years since Sophie Beckett has left London. Sophie used the money from the clips that she stole to buy herself a ticket into the country, where she eventually found work under Mr. and Mrs. Cavender. I was choked when I heard that. I was like, what?
They're gonna meet.
They're gonna meet.
Oh no. Or oh yay.
Yeah. Oh yay.
Medium.
I don't know how I feel.
Excitement.
Yeah, medium excitement. She didn't mind working for them. They were nice enough employers, but their son Philip was a touchy asswipe.
That was direct quote.
Yeah, that's what she said. When he returned home from London, his passes at her were not too aggressive at first, but eventually over time grew more and more bold. She felt reasonably safe while Mr. and Mrs. Cavender were home. However, right now they were gone. They were like traveling or something. And Philip decided to throw a party for a bunch of his close friends. And she felt that this was time to go because she was worried that Philip might do something bad, especially while drunk. Ugh. She packed up her bag, which was like a small satchel, which contained very little, and made her way out the side door. However, this was the worst possible time to make an exit because she ran almost directly into Philip Cavender.
Bad luck.
Yeah, terrible luck. It was almost like Feyre in the like going under the mountain.
30 seconds.
Like, literally within 30 seconds was caught by the fucking adder.
Yeah.
That's what that reminded me of.
The adder.
By the adder.
Not just a crony of Araminta.
Araminta, yeah. It was the adder. Anyways. He was a little too excited to find her, and very quickly the situation became unsafe.
Dire.
Horrendous. Two of his friends came out of the woodwork and they started tossing her between them, basically implying that they were going to do very indecent things to her. Ugh. Luckily, Benedict Bridgerton at that very moment had come outside to bid Philip Cavender farewell and saw that Sophie, he didn't know her at the time, by the way. He didn't know her name, whatever, didn't know who she was at all.
She's a stranger.
Was in distress. He just knew that a maid was in distress and knew that he was going to have to save her.
He was like such an inconvenience.
He was super annoyed by it. It's like, this is going to suck. He confronted the men and told them to leave her alone, that she had no interest in them whatsoever and in the perverse things they were planning. Philip threatened to fire her, to which Benedict replied that he'd find her another job. Finally, the three men gave up their pursuit and walked away reluctantly. Trigger warning, trigger warning. Sophie was positively freaked out because, one, she was almost raped by Philip Cavender and his two friends, and it was Benedict Bridgerton, the man that she hadn't stopped thinking about for the last 2 years, that had saved her. She thought maybe she was dreaming.
What a night.
Literally, what is this? Where did this,
Wow.
What's happening? She thought maybe she was dreaming. How could this be happening? How could he be here? She thought for sure he would recognize her as the woman in silver from the ball. Mm-hmm. He asked her if she was all right and was being overall very comforting. But as he was looking into her eyes, she realized that he had no idea who she was and he did not recognize her whatsoever.
I was hoping he recognized her right away.
Yeah, same.
And then like beat everybody up or got into a huge fight or like killed somebody or like done something.
Yeah.
But
I would have loved to have seen Philip Cavender's death.
Yeah.
For sure.
In this moment.
Chapter 7. Lady Whistledown says that Philip Cavender and Rosamond are potentially courting.
That's effed. So
10 minutes later, Sophie is in Benedict's, I don't know how to say this. Is it Phaeton? Phaeton. It's what they said in the book. Phaeton?
Where?
Phaeton?
Point to it.
Right here.
Oh. I don't know.
I think it's called a phaeton, which is an open-faced carriage. I did Google it. I just don't know how to say it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, because that's how they described it in the book, or that's what they said, literally what it was in the book.
Okay, Phaeton looks right. Phaeton?
Yeah. She is in a state of complete shock, not only because she was almost just assaulted, but because the man of her dreams and the one she'd literally not stopped thinking about for the last 2 years straight does not recognize her.
Ugh. Did they? They also said gang raped, didn't they? In the book, they said it.
Yeah, I tried my best to use a little bit more gentle,
palatable terms.
Yeah, terminology for it because
it was shocking.
But that is almost what happened.
Yeah, and she knew that, and it was clear. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone in the situation knew that.
And honestly, like, so would the reader. I mean, it was very straightforward.
That's what I mean. Yeah, everybody all the characters and the reader, it was very clear.
Yeah, for sure. Benedict is being very attentive, asking if she's all right. He does notice that she is acting weird, but attributes that behavior to the fact that she was very close to being assaulted. On the carriage ride, she is thinking about her daydreams of how she wishes she was in a different life, of a different birth. like not a bastard, and
a byblow.
Yeah, not a byblow of the Earl, and how she would marry Benedict, and that would be the best life ever. But she's also very realistic. She knows that because of her birth, because of her status, even if he knew that she was the woman in silver, he could never marry her. He seems to be very sensitive to when she is in deep thought, and he asks her about what she's thinking every single time. And she does play it off really well. But it does happen like a lot.
Yeah.
He notices that she doesn't speak the way that servants typically do and asks her why. Her cover story is that she was the daughter of a housemaid, and the family that her mother worked for was very generous and allowed her to sit in on the lessons with their daughters. She asks where they're going, and he tells her that they're going to his cottage, which is conveniently named, quote, my cottage.
It's silly.
It's literally like written in like a thing outside of the cottage.
My cottage.
My cottage. She is worried that they're going to be there alone, unchaperoned, and he is like
not worried at all. It's like literally doesn't matter.
He is the least bit worried of anything at all. They are having a polite conversation mostly, and she does thank him several times for saving her. While they're speaking, he thinks a bit about how he does feel like she's familiar. He even goes so far as to ask if they've met before, to which she replies, obviously, no.
Right. Not going to go into that right now.
Yeah. We're not going to have that conversation here. For her, it's better if he doesn't recognize her because she feels that there's nothing good that could come out of that.
Yeah.
Even if he knew, he'd just ask her to be his mistress, not his wife.
Yeah, and that's what she's afraid of.
And that's what she doesn't
want. She does not want that.
No.
Right.
We shifted to his perspective, and we find out that he actually has never fully gotten over the lady in silver.
the amount of times that he looks at her and thinks of his lady in silver
oh my God.
Doesn't connect
it. Does not connect the dots is absolutely absurd.
It's annoying.
He looked for her for several months after the masquerade ball, but sort of lost hope after she had never turned up. He still did look for her from time to time when they were at functions and balls and things like that in London, but not as intensely as he did for the first few several months that he was like obsessing.
Yeah.
It started to rain on their way to my cottage, and it was like a bad rain, like a storming rain, like the kind of rain that Kate would be shivering in her boots.
Oh yeah, she'd be.
However, the whole time they were driving, Sophie never complained once, and he thought about how much he admired that. Which was like, he's like, even my sister Daphne, who was like fairly well mannered, would be complaining right now.
So would I.
I'd
be like, why aren't you complaining? Like, what's going on here?
I'd be like, this is actually kind of weird.
Yeah. I'm very uncomfortable.
Maybe you should complain a little bit because I'm like kind of getting
like, aren't you cold?
This is off-putting.
Like, very upset right now.
He then starts coughing, and it's clear that the rain and cold have gotten to him. Obviously, he had a cold like last week, so all of that together was a recipe for disaster, and he's coming down to probably something much kind of worse.
Yeah, it happens really fast.
Really, really fast.
Really, really fast.
The coughing is consuming him so badly that Sophie had to take over driving the carriage. And when they finally get to the cottage, Benedict is trying to unlatch the horses, but he's coughing so badly that Sophie has to help with them there. So basically she's like, I'll just do everything.
Yeah, and he's like, can you even do that? And she's like, yeah. He's like, no, you can't. I'm going to do it.
He's like, he's trying to be a gentleman is what he's trying to do. But like, just sit the fuck back, okay? Because it's taking longer when you're doing it. You can't do it. You're not having a good time here. She made another comment about him saving her, and that sent her into like a wave of emotion, and she did break down, and he held her as she cried. Aww. This is a quote. It's a really fucking long one. I don't know why I would have put this in here, but here we go.
Okay.
She cried for what could have been her fate that evening. She cried for what had been her fate for the past 9 years. She cried for the memory of when he'd held her in his arms at the masquerade, and she cried because she was in his arms right now. She cried because he was so damned nice, and even though he was clearly ill, even though she was in his eyes nothing but a housemaid, he still wanted to care for her and protect her. She cried because she hadn't let herself cry in longer than she could remember, and she cried because she felt so alone. And she cried because she'd been dreaming of him for so long, and he hadn't recognized her. It was probably best that he did not, but her heart still ached from it.
Aww.
Okay, actually, I'm not mad about it. I put that in.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was, I mean, that's a lot of emotions and a lot to process in that moment. And you're soaking wet and it's cold.
Yeah. She's just like, I need this moment right now.
Yeah, just let me cry it out.
100%.
The fact that he didn't recognize her. Did she say this now or later that she had like lost some weight, cut her hair?
They do say that in a bit.
Later. Okay.
So when she finishes crying, they went to go into the house, and unfortunately,
she cried all that time outside while they're getting
they
wet?
were outside, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then she got done and was like, okay, let's go.
I like triple checked that too.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
I was
Okay.
like, okay. Well, like right out in front of the horses. Yeah. No, for sure. So when she finishes crying, they went to go into the house. Unfortunately, the caretakers were not there that night, so they had to go. So Benedict had to go grab the spare key, and I'm assuming go through one of the other doors in the house that was like on the opposite end of the house. And then he let her in. She says that she will go find the servants' quarter, and he grabs her by the arm and says, "No, you will not." Chapter 8. Lady Whistledown reports on a feud between Lady Penwood and Lady Featherington.
Love it so much.
This is like my favorite part of the whole book. I can't even handle it. Apparently, Lady Penwood had stolen Lady Featherington's lady's maid, but the plot thickens when the lady's maid quit Lady Penwood's house and went crawling back to Lady Featherington's in less than a fortnight after being employed by Lady Penwood.
Ooh, she's not a good lady.
Not good at all.
We don't
not
like
a good situation. Dude, I would be eating that up in 1850.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I'd be eating it up now, but either way, I'd eat. We are back to Sophie and Benedict, who are inside, quote, my cottage. Benedict is trying to get a fire started, and they realize that they need new clothes because their clothes are soaking wet. Benedict goes to get him and Sophie both clothes because even her clothes in her little like satchel are wet, and she'll need to wear his clothes until hers are dry again.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, but she's like, actually, it's not that big of a deal. She does think, she's like, she's kind of just like apprehensive about everything because I think it's Benedict.
Be right.
Yeah.
100%.
She insists again about staying in the servants' quarter, but eventually gives in about staying in a guest bed. She goes to start the furnace in his room because during this entire interaction, he has been frequently coughing up a storm and is getting very obviously worse and worse. So Sophie is in Benedict's room right now, and she notices that his bedroom is very personalized. She mentions that you can tell a lot about a person by the way that their bedroom is decorated. Mm-hmm. And she thinks that that's very like cool. She loves that.
Yeah, she said that's dope.
Yeah, that's super dope. It's a direct quote, actually. He has a jar of rocks, and he startles her by telling her that each one of the rocks that was in the jar was from an important moment in his life. She was like holding on to one, and he was like, the one that you're currently holding is from the day that my dad died.
And she's like, oh my god. I can't touch that. Back. But yeah. I do love that. I love a rock collection.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool. He hands her a pair of his clothes that she can wear, and she goes to stoke the fire in the furnace. By the time she turns around, she notices that Benedict is acting like he's drunk. He's slurring his words. He's having trouble standing up straight. Oh my God. And she believes the sickness that he has is getting worse and worse, and it's causing him to act this way. She tells him that she needs to change his clothes, or that he needs to change his clothes, or she. I mean, whatever. Because the ones that he's wearing are still wet, and he goes to try and undo the buttons on his shirt, and he like physically can't. Oh my God. And so she's like, okay, this scene is just funny to me because she's like, okay, I'll help you. So she unbuttons his shirt, and then by the time she's done, he literally fell asleep standing up.
Oh.
And so she goes to wake him up, and when he wakes up, he's like, what? She's like, you just fell asleep. And he's like, I didn't realize that's a bad thing. And then he's like, who took off my shirt? Like you just had a comment. Like that's how sick he is because he doesn't even remember that.
What does he have? The flu? I've never been that disorientated.
Me either. I have no idea. But basically she's like, okay, well, I took off your shirt, but you need to also take off your pants because they're sopping wet. And she thought he was gonna change it to like different pants, but he just takes them off and then like gets into bed. Oh, but so like not naked. In front of her. He tells her to turn around first. Oh, okay. Like it wasn't like a sight thing. But anyways, yeah. And she's like, oh my God, that's crazy. He's naked under that.
It's so scandalous. There's no chaperones here. Oh my God.
No freaking chaperones. And he does jump under the covers, and he does end up falling asleep. And so then she returns to her room and falls asleep within a couple minutes as well. Sophie then wakes up several hours later in a panic and realizes that something had woken her up, but she didn't know what. So she runs to Benedict's room, and he's running a terrible, terrible fever. And she was in
tune to his feelings. Or to him.
For sure.
Oh.
They had like a mating bond moment for sure. She was honestly feeling very out of her element because she's never cared for someone that's been that sick, or really anyone who's been sick. She's
not
general.
a nurse. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even Araminta and Rosamund and Posey have never had, like, she said had never had a sick day in their life.
Oh, wow. Lucky them.
That's actually crazy.
For the 1813s?
That's
the 1850s?
Literally insane. Yeah. She tried to wake him up, but he was not budging.
No allergies?
Oh, yeah. You're just like still freaked out about the fact that they've never been sick once in their life. This is what is going on.
Unprecedented.
This is unprecedented.
This family needs to be studied.
It's seriously.
Anyways.
So she tries to wake him up, but he's not budging. And then he kept asking her to kiss him, like over and over. He's like, kiss me, kiss me, kiss me. And then she decides to give in. And she kissed him, and then she said,
she did?
Well, he's like literally like unconscious, like and disoriented, like just completely.
Oh my God.
She kisses him, and then she's like, I love you. I've always loved you.
She said that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Insane. I was gobsmacked.
Not as bad as Daphne, though.
No. I don't think... I just don't feel like... Many people, okay, listen, Philip Cavender almost topped her, but the difference is Daphne tries to act like she's like this, or like the book tries to portray her as if she was like in the right, or like that she's like this good person.
Yeah, it was like nothing. Mm-hmm.
Philip Cavender is obviously the villain.
Oh my God.
That's the difference.
That's crazy.
Right? It's like,
it's not talked about enough.
It's really not talked about enough. But this is also still really bad. Like she should not have tried to kiss him.
Yeah, she could have got sick.
So that is one of the first things that I thought. But also, this is still very violating.
Yeah.
That actually.
He's obviously not.
Like, why would you do that? That's disgusting. That's like the first thing I thought was like, that is gross.
First of all, gross. Second of all, he is clearly having a fever dream.
Yeah. What in the world? So she ran to get him new sheets and a pitcher of water and some small towels. And so she dipped the towels into the water and like rested them on his forehead to try and cool him down. I'm assuming it was cold water that she was using. After Sophie had done everything that she could, the towels were on him. He was kind of resting and like wasn't in such a fit. She decided to go explore Benedict's room some more. And she found his sketchbook.
I'm gonna go snoop around a little more. It's a good time. Look through the drawers and stuff.
Listen, I love Sophie, but this is crazy. This is insane.
That's so funny.
So she just finds his sketchbook, like literally like his most protected,
intimate
possession.
Yeah,
for him, for sure.
Well, yeah.
And decides to flip through it. And it turns out Benedict is a super good artist.
I love that about him.
Yeah.
I did in this chapter.
No, I do too. He's like, he drew through his family and it's very good. And then on the last page, he notices that he drew Sophie running from the ball as the lady in silver.
Aww.
And she's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'd be like beside myself with that information.
And I personally am like, this is, I think I might do that. I don't know. I can't decide if I was in Sophie's position, if I would snoop around like this. I just can't decide.
Oh no, I would not.
I don't know. I might.
No, I'd go back into my room and shut myself in. I don't know.
I might.
You're obsessed. Has a fever. He might die.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't leave the room. I just don't know if I would snoop like that.
Right.
I maybe would try to find a good book and then come back and like, hang out. It does feel a little violating, but it's fine.
It is a little weird.
Good for her. Whatever. Anyways, Benedict woke up then and she was relieved and taking that as a good sign that maybe his fever has broken. She assured him that he will feel better in the morning. And he's like, doubt it. And she's like, you will.
Okay.
I promise. Chapter 9. Sophie woke up the next morning in a chair by Benedict's bed. She was screaming because Mr. and Mrs. Crabtree had appeared and she didn't know who they were. Mrs. Crabtree is quite upset that Benedict did not let her know that he was going to be staying. And he told her that it was a last minute decision.
Right.
Mrs. Crabtree was on it though. She had breakfast already cooking. She went to go fetch some tea. I mean, she's a really
She was
good
probably super
caretaker.
excited that they were there. She's like, I gotta get the eggs going.
Yeah, like yes and yes, and no, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you tell me? But also because it makes me look bad. But also, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I get it.
She did tell Sophie that they needed to get her a different pair of clothing or any kind of clothing because she was still in Benedict's pants and they were so big that they kept falling to her ankles. Like multiple times when she was taking care of him the night before that they literally fell to her ankles.
To her ankles.
And I can't imagine, like, all of her clothes are wet, so I'm assuming so were her underpants. So I'm assuming she was completely naked underneath them.
What the heck?
So her cooter was just hanging out.
Well, didn't she have her shirt on too?
Oh yeah,
it's probably super long.
Yeah, it's true. This is really embarrassing for her. I can't handle it.
It is. Poor Sophie.
Jeez. Mrs. Crabtree got her dressed in some new clothing and then she went to go clean her other clothes. And she's like, I'll get the other stuff cleaned. Mrs. Crabtree at one point even asked if they would take her as an employer or like employee at my cottage. But Benedict was very hesitant for some reason. Like, I thought that would have been a great job for her.
Yeah.
To be employed at my cottage.
Oh, yeah. That is weird because like he's like, no, I got to get you back to London.
I have to bring her back to London.
You can't stay here.
I thought that was very weird.
And yeah. I don't know.
When Sophie came back with the dress that was far too big on her, by the way, that Mrs. Crabtree got her, the breakfast was also there. Benedict reflected that he had a dream last night about the woman in silver. And
I wonder why.
Literally. And he even had a fleeting thought of Sophie potentially being her.
He did?
Yeah, potentially being her, but wrote it off because her hair was darker.
Yeah.
And she was far too thin, and that also her hair was shorter. Really quickly, back in the day, they used to powder their hair. So that's why it looked like lighter.
Right. She had her hair powdered when she went to the ball, and she's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It looked a lot lighter, and it was longer. Oh, I can't tell.
It was longer. She did. She had her hair cut because she had her hair sold.
Oh,
so
that's
she could
right.
have more money. So
oh my
she could make more
God.
money.
She's had it rough.
She has had a rough life. Poor girl. Mrs. Crabtree told Sophie that she needed to eat, and Sophie admitted that she hadn't eaten anything the entire day before.
Yeah.
Sophie was waffling down some food, and Benedict was so pissed that she was so hungry that she had went so long without any food, and she felt like he felt that she had been mistreated by the Cavenders.
No shit.
Yeah.
Come on, Benedict.
Literally, obviously she was. Benedict asked what she was going to do with the day, and she told him that she was going to go look for a new job. He reminded her that he was going to help her get a job with his mom in London, but she said that she loved the country. She wanted to stay in the country.
He's like, well, you can't work here.
Yeah. He was like, well, she wanted to go look around at other jobs in the town that they were at.
Right.
Probably not expecting that he was going to offer her a job at my cottage, but that would have been a really good fit for her.
Yeah, and the Crabtrees seem awesome.
And they wanted her to work for them. So,
they're like, we need help here.
Right. Literally, he's like, they're like, we're getting too old to do some of the stuff. It would be really nice to have someone, and we like her. We really want to take her on. Like, that would have been a really good fit for her. I think.
And he's like, no, he needs to live with my mom. I mean, she needs to live with my mom.
I need her to be with my mom. I need that. This is for me, okay? He said that she can work at a job at Aubrey Hall, their country estate. Not really theirs. It's actually just Antony's now.
Right.
But she said that she was like, you shouldn't feel responsible for me. Like, it's fine. I'm not your responsibility. And she decided not to argue with him at that point. And before she left, he was poking fun at her. I can't actually remember about what. He was like, oh, actually, now I do. He was like, oh, well, what are you going to go do? And she was like, I don't know. I'm going to go do something. And he goes, well, have fun with that something. She got so annoyed with him that she threw a candle stump at him. Which I was like, and he thought that was absolutely hilarious. And he said, well done, Miss Beckett.
Okay. That's an interaction.
That's something.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, I do admire Sophie. So in the beginning, she was afraid to leave Araminta's house. She didn't have any money or anything. And then, she did. She left and she found herself a job with the Cavenders.
Yeah.
even though that didn't go well, she was rescued by Antony. God damn it. Rescued by Benedict. And now she's like, all right, I'm going to go like figure it out again.
Yeah.
So I do like that about her.
I do too. She's a fighter.
Yeah. She's holding her own.
For sure.
This, as a pauper. Anyways, Lady Whistledown reports on Benedict's absence from the Covington ball. Even though he said he'd be there, he went to the country last week and is currently missing. But Lady Bridgerton is not worried. He's probably not dead.
I was surprised that she wasn't worried.
Yeah, he's like, well, he's 30. You know, he doesn't have to report back to me all the time. Benedict's recovery is long and drawn the fuck out. He enjoys Sophie's company. She would pop into his room several times a day and sometimes just to fluff his pillows. She brings him tea and biscuits, and he asks her to sit with him and enjoy the snack as well. They chat about this and that. He's watching her movements, etc. Then he realizes, like, holy shit, like, I want her. Like, I really, really want her. Like, of course I want her. Like, she's charming, and he's been spending a lot of time with her. Like, who wouldn't want her?
Yeah.
She's like,
and she's pretty. She's very beautiful.
Yeah, and she's been in the same room as me for a couple hours.
Yeah, that's
so why
true.
wouldn't I want her?
They do seem to have like quite a bit in common, I'm assuming, because how can you spend that much time with someone that you don't enjoy being around?
I think maybe just because she was a housemaid that they just overlook them so much. But now that she's spending more time with him, he's like, oh, wait, I like her.
I actually like housemaids. Yeah. I like the poor.
Oh, no. What does it mean for me?
What does this mean?
He starts to get agitated, and he said he needed her to leave because he might do something he'd have to apologize for. But I'm afraid he would have done something he would have gone to jail for. He's getting really turned on, basically. And he's like, you got to get out of here.
Yeah, he's like got like a hard on underneath the blanket.
Yeah, and he's like, you got to leave, please. He's like, you got to leave. I need to be alone. And she thinks he needs to use the chamber pot. So she leaves. And then like once she shuts the door, he like whips the blankets off, gets dressed, climbs out the window, and heads to the lake so he can take a swim in the cold water, essentially a cold shower. Which is fucking dumb. Like, I thought he was just going to rub one out.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to go trek a quarter mile to go swim in a lake.
But also, he just got done being sick.
He's feeling better.
Does it seem smart to go into a cold lake after you just got done being sick?
The cold rain got you re-sick.
All I could think was,
what a decision.
Is this a joke? Is this actually a joke? I didn't actually think about the rubbing one out, but that would have been way better.
I thought he was just going to do that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's just climbing, like shimmying down the fucking side of the house.
Do they not have post-nut clarity at this point in like time frame?
I don't know.
Maybe this is the problem because they don't know how to masturbate.
Maybe.
They have to be able to masturbate. Come on. Maybe that's why they're so horny, because none of them masturbate.
Meanwhile, Sophie runs into Mrs. Crabtree. They come to the conclusion that Benedict is not in the house. He didn't have to poop because she didn't smell anything in the chamber pot room. And he left
No, they didn't have a room. It's literally just a pot in the like corner.
Oh, but she Miss Crabtree was just near that pot and it smelled pretty good. So he didn't use it. He left the house entirely. Also, during this, Mrs. Crabtree is determined to treat Sophie as a guest and not a servant. And Sophie is like, well, if that's true, which it's not, I would need a chaperone. And you wouldn't qualify like as a housemaid or whatever. Therefore, I'm a servant. Which is like an interesting thing that nobody really cares about. Benedict doesn't care about.
Which I was confused because don't they use ladies' maids as chaperones at this time period? So why wouldn't a housemaid be like an appropriate chaperone?
I don't know. I'm not going to Google those nuances.
No, me either, but I just was confused.
Yeah, it is interesting. Also, I think this is the chapter where they mentioned the tonic. Mrs. Crabtree made Benedict a tonic, and Benedict was like, told Mr. Crabtree, like, you got to get rid of this, do whatever you got to do. I'm not drinking that. And so he did. He threw it in the bushes, and it killed the bushes. And Mrs. Crabtree is like, oh, Benedict's feeling better. Because of my tonic.
Because of me. Because of my tonic.
And she didn't
all
even
in
drink
the
it.
bushes.
It was really funny. But I had to leave it out because there's so much else going on.
There's too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sophie gets upset at the positions she's found herself in. She's falling in love with Benedict and she'll never be good enough for him, etc., and decides to go for a walk. Benedict had mentioned a lake nearby, so she set out to find it, and she did really fast. And she realizes someone is nearby, and she feels excitement and fear about that, but she should just be straight up scared. But her curiosity wins, and she takes a look, and it's Benedict splashing around in waist-deep water, stark naked. By the way, Benedict is so arrogant in this chapter. I didn't mention any of that.
Oh my God.
He's so arrogant. I don't even remember the
What is it with the
nuances of
Bridgertons and arrogance?
It's so annoying. Okay.
It's a rich people thing.
Lady Whistledown reports that Araminta and Portia are basically fighting over the way Araminta treats her housemaids, and it's heating up in London. Meanwhile, at the pond, Sophie plants her butt down on a rock to watch Benedict splash around in the waist-deep water.
This is so creepy. I'm sorry. This is weird.
It is.
I can't believe she did this.
Because he has a self-diagnosed sixth sense, he thinks he's being watched, and
Shut
because
the fuck up.
he did
Self-diagnosed. That's true, but that's
he's
just
like,
funny.
my arms are tingling, and then he went home and his dad was dead.
Yeah.
He's like, that was a sign.
My arms were tingling. I turned around and I saw the lady in silver. Like anytime my arms tingle, like something huge in my life happens.
So he has a sixth sense. And probably also because he's super arrogant, he calls out to Sophie. He just knows that she's there and threatens her with his naked dick if she runs away. Okay, that's real.
That is real.
He yells, if you fucking run, I don't think he says fucking. If you run, I will chase you with my dick out and I will catch up with you because I'm stronger and faster and I will tackle you. I will tackle you to make certain you can't escape from me. So reveal yourself. Like he says that to her. He's like, I'm not going to get dressed. I'm going to run through the woods and tackle you.
And she's been raised like a lady. So she's like, what's a dick? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, she's like, what do you mean?
What is a dick? What do you mean?
She does. She reveals herself and says, I was just going for a walk. Like I wasn't following you. I swear I can go home right now. And he says, no, you'll stay. And then he says, do I look like a man in the mood to be argued with? If you run, I will catch you. So she still contemplates how fast she can get back to the cottage. And he tells her, stop thinking, stop using your brain and your wits and do as I ask. He makes her turn around so he can get dressed, and he's taking his damn time to annoy her. And then she's like, why can't I just leave? Like, I want to leave. I would like to leave. Like, I can leave. It's okay. And he says, I want you here. They start talking about why she stayed when she saw him. And he's getting a scary glazed look in his eyes. But actually, like, things are heating up. She says she doesn't have much experience with men. And he says, now that's what a man wishes to hear. That makes me want to throw up. Benedict says, I have to kiss you. I can't not kiss you. And compares this need to breathing. And so they kiss. Sophie is reminded of the first time they kissed at the masquerade, and she starts crying. She had been thinking of this kiss for 2 years, and now it's happening again. They kiss for quite a while, and he is about to say he's never felt this way before. And Sophie gets jealous of herself because that's what he said to her at the ball.
Yeah. I'll be honest, like
so
some
funny.
of these feelings that she has would be so relatable. Like I think like if it was me in these situations, I would kind of feel like I want him to like me more than quote the lady in silver, even though the lady in silver is me, because that's her in a fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's her at her best self.
Yeah.
Where she is now is more realistic to who she will be every single day.
Yeah.
So it's great that he loved her at her best self, but also would he love her at what she truly is?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I was conflicted when I first read this because I was like, wow, like he had this soul searing connection with the lady in silver, and now he's met Sophie again and he doesn't know it, and he's having these feelings again. So like that is because like of who she is. But at the same time, he doesn't know that. So it does feel like he could just be saying this to every woman that he's ever met.
100%. I do agree with you there.
So, but we don't know.
I
yet.
would have those second thoughts if it was me too.
It's funny that she's jealous of herself, though.
Yeah.
The kiss is broken because she's jealous of herself. And he's like, who are you for real? You're too well spoken to be a maid. She responds saying, like, one can't get very far in this country with a low-born accent. And he says, one could argue you haven't gotten very far.
That's so fucking rude.
So rude. He's so rude the whole time. Sophie reminds him that even with her education, she'll never be able to get work because better than a maid. And she's too hot to be a governess. Like, no one's going to hire her for that.
She tried, and they wouldn't because she was too hot.
Benedict then says, you can come with me to London. You can live at my house with me. Be mine right now, forever. I'll give you anything you want. All I want is you in return. And that's like how they left off at the ball. He's like, I want you for tomorrow, right now, forever. I want to pet your dog.
But he wanted to marry the woman in silver.
Exactly.
He doesn't want that with Sophie.
And now she's like, well, what is my role going to be? Like, I'm obviously going to be a mistress, and that's not what I want. But he's like, whatever. Like, it literally doesn't matter to me what you are. Like, I just want you.
Yeah. I mean, he wanted her to be his mistress.
Yeah.
I fear that I may have not been looking at his perspective enough when I read the book. And I don't want to be like a male apologist because I'm not. Like, let's just be clear.
Okay.
But I was so annoyed because I was like, just fucking marry her. Like, literally thinking that throughout this. And I fear that I may not have understood the nuances of society and societal expectations, and not only like what that would mean for him, but what that would mean if he married someone of like extremely low birth and how it would affect her.
A pauper.
Yeah. One of the poors.
Yeah.
I mean, they would be ostracized from society, and she would be treated so poorly by the rest of the people in society, like if they ever were to be around. And it would be quite literally, unless they were alone, a pretty miserable experience.
Yeah. Go live in the country.
Yeah.
Aubrey Hall sounds great.
No, and I don't disagree, but I feel like you can't completely avoid society when you marry someone that's in society, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can't be completely ostracized.
And we'll never know all the ins and outs. Like, it's so easy to be like, oh, just marry her from our perspective here on the couch.
That's what I'm
you don't
saying.
know what it was like in 1815 in London.
That's what I'm saying. I was being so like critical of him, and I want to say like that right there is I feel like I shouldn't be as critical. Maybe the way he handled it, but
yeah.
Maybe not as critical for why he didn't feel like he could have her as a wife and not a mistress.
Right. Lady Whistledown reports that Benedict is still missing. Even Eloise says he should have been back days ago, but he's still probably not dead and probably not preying on a defenseless young woman.
Hopefully not.
Ooh. Benedict basically wants her to be his mistress, and she ain't about that life. He's like, whatever, I don't care what you call it. Like, be my mistress, and you could have this. And then he kisses her.
It was so cringy.
She does like the kiss. It makes her melt. He's groaning her name, saying, I need you. Can't you feel how much I need you? I want to burn your ugly ass dress, because he doesn't like the dresses that she wears.
Why would he say that?
He's like, I need to get you out of these clothes. I need you to get into something more colorful. I don't know.
Nicer silks.
Yeah.
Satin.
Sophie tries to get into it and does for a minute, but ultimately she's the bastard daughter to a dead earl, and she can never be anything more than a servant or a mistress, and she won't bear bastard children. So she pushes him away and refuses his offer, and she says she would rather work as a housemaid than be his mistress. And this triggers Benedict's toxic masculinity. He says, you're a fool. Like, do you know what you're missing out on? You could have better clothes, jewelry, a roof over your head. You don't have any of those things currently. She's like, yep, nope, no thanks. I'd rather clean chamber pots. And she would, 100% at this point. She doesn't want to be a mistress because she grew up as a bastard child and her childhood sucked.
But he doesn't know that she's a bastard yet. It does not excuse what he's saying to her, but he doesn't know yet.
Right. But that's, and he doesn't need to know that.
No, it does not excuse anything he's saying.
Right. She starts to head back, saying she'll pack her bags because she's like, I got to get out of, like, obviously you're probably going to kick me out. And he stops her saying, don't you know how dangerous it is for a woman to be alone in the world? And she's like, yes, Benedict. Yes, I do.
Literally.
Don't you remember like how we met?
Literally 2 days, like a week and a half ago. Fucking
you remember
psycho. No.
They keep arguing. He cannot understand how she could reject him. She calls her foolish again and says, that's it. You're coming back to London with me. You don't have to be my bloody mistress. And then he also says, like, you're not being intelligent. And Sophie punches him in the face, knocks him to the ground, and says, don't you ever call me stupid.
Listen, I don't condone violence. I too would have hit him in the face.
Yeah. Also, he was just being so combative. Like, listen, just give her a second.
I mean, maybe I wouldn't have hit him in the face, but I would have been very angry. I
depends on how.
After everything that's happened, and him like not wouldn't say he's forcing himself on her, but he definitely is like kissing her. Like she's being agreeable, but it's not like she's not like kissing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's like reluctant. you can tell that she wants it, and so that's why he's so confused.
She's trying
but
to,
then
right.
she also doesn't want that.
But I feel like it's clear that she's conflicted, and I don't think that you should just randomly kiss a conflicted woman.
Right, you should just give her a second. Like,
yeah, agreed.
She turns to walk away, and he trips her on purpose to stop her from leaving him.
So fucked.
She starts to walk away again, and this time he follows her. She asks him to please leave her alone, and he says, I can't. And he's being a condescending, patronizing pig, and she almost hits him again. She goes to pack her bags, and he follows her, annoying the shit out of her, calling her dresses ugly, etc. He's like, you forgot your ugly dress. And she's like, which one? He's basically like, cute, you're packing, but you're leaving with me. Like, I don't know what you're doing. He's being such an ass. He puts it together, though, through their past conversations that she's an illegitimate child. So this is where he does put it together.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He's like, whatever, you're still, he's still trying to convince her to be his mistress, to go back to London with him. He's like, that really doesn't matter. You can still be my mistress. It doesn't matter, baby.
Baby, honey. I don't care.
He's asking about her family, though, and she dodges his questions, and then he grabs her arm really hard, and she screams, let me go, so loudly. It surely would have attracted the Crabtrees. Like, it says, it would have had them running, but they were both out of earshot. And he said, I can't let you go. She wants to accept his offer, but the pain of her childhood was still too fresh, and the stigma of her illegitimacy felt like a brand on her soul. And so she still says no. He says, okay, then you've left me no choice. You're coming with me, or I'm telling the magistrate that you've stolen from me. And she could be sent, like, exiled, basically, or hanged for this.
To Australia.
Yeah.
Which is apparently, I didn't actually know this until very recently, like within the last year. This is really bad. This is going to make me sound so stupid. And you know what? It is what it is. Because we all learn every single day. That back in the day, that people from England would send, like, their convicted, I don't know. I don't want to say felon. Yeah, yeah, criminals? Criminals. That's a good word. To Australia. And, like, just banish them in Australia. And like, pretty much every Australian is, like, a banished... Like,
I had no idea.
From, like, banished, like from the British, like from England.
I didn't know that.
I very recently found this out.
It's very interesting.
Had no idea.
That's why she was like, yeah, they'll send me to Australia.
That's why Australia and like Britons like used to have like pretty bad beef.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Don't come.
I learned that like last year.
That's funny.
Okay, I thought that was a stupid thing that I didn't know. Thank God.
No.
Okay. Maybe it's a stupid thing for American, like it's
maybe.
like an stupid American thing that we don't know,
right?
Because it's not something that I learned in like classes.
No, I didn't learn a lot in school. That's for sure.
I wasn't paying attention.
The American education system was not great. It's
not.
My history knowledge is very bad, very poor.
I'm also just not very good at history. Like, let's be so real. It's not my strong subject. Personally.
That's okay.
Math is mine.
You don't have to like.
What's yours?
Math.
Yours is math?
No, that's my bad subject.
What's your good subject?
English. Like
oh, I love that. Yeah, like writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Grammar.
I love that.
Etc.
My least.
Grammar. Don't come at. I don't care about grammar. Anyways, she argues. Okay, all right. So he's blackmailing her. She agrees to go with him because she's like, really, what other choice do I have? He says he can live with her hating him, but he just can't live without her, which is super scary, psychotic behavior. That quote was like a popular highlight in the ebook that I was reading, but like there wasn't a lot of other quotes up until now.
Yeah,
that's the only one. That's so crazy. He blackmailed her. Lady Whistledown reports that Araminta has refused for Rosamund to marry Philip Cavender, the rapist, the would-be rapist, because he's not titled. But that's fine because now he has his sights set on none other than Cressida Cowper, which, as horrible as she is, she doesn't deserve him. I don't think anybody deserves him. And you're like, he has a match out there somewhere. And I'm like, I disagree. No. Just get rid of him.
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Sophie dreads going to London. The closer they get, the more sick that she feels. London is in season, which means Araminta will be there. As they're riding in the carriage, they're chatting. Sophie calls him mad, and he says, well, yeah, I basically kidnapped you. And she's like, well, you can let me go. And he says, no, you'd be attacked by like the people on the street. Like, what do you mean? She says, that's nothing compared to being abducted against my will. And he says, I didn't abduct you. I blackmailed you. And he said that because I had texted you already. I was like, blackmail, but they didn't say it yet. And then he said, I blackmailed you. And I was like, what? I screamed.
They're very
straightforward. Yeah. They arrive. And they're not at Bridgerton House. Violet had moved out 2 years ago. Anthony lives there now. She knows this because she was there for the ball. They go to enter through the front door, and she's like, I can't go through the front door. Maids don't go through the front door, but they go through anyways. The butler, which his name is Wickham. I love the butler names.
I think they did name Wickham before in other books because I think he's been the butler since like Anthony.
Oh, okay. Well,
or like Simon. I think Simon was talked to Wickham like when
he was rude to him.
Like, yeah. He's like, Daphne's literally at your fucking house, you idiot.
I was laughing at that the other day when I was listening.
Yeah.
He was rude to their butler.
He's rude to every butler.
That's so funny.
Simon was rude, dude.
So anyways, Wickham goes to fetch Violet. They get into another argument about Sophie refusing to be his mistress and refusing at all of his offers thus far. When Violet meets Sophie, she thinks she recognizes her, but Sophie thinks, like, how could she? I'm sure we didn't meet at the masquerade. And Violet's like, yeah, like maybe, I don't know, maybe I don't know you, I don't know. Benedict explains the events up till this point, where he's been, how Sophie came into the picture, and please, Mom, do you have a spot for her here? And she says she needs an upstairs lady's maid, and Sophie agrees. Violet is so intrigued by how educated Sophie seems, and she gives the same incorrect story about how she was raised. And she did admit to Benedict at one point, like,
that her mom died at childbirth.
That my mom died at childbirth. And they like locked eyes, and he's like, I'm not going to rat you out in this moment.
Yeah.
Violet insists on helping Sophie herself get settled in upstairs. So she's like, a maid's not going to do it. I'm going to go. She wants to know who she is.
Yeah, 100%.
Sophie can see from their interactions that Violet loves her boys so much, and it made Sophie feel lonely, wistful, and jealous. She thinks about how her life could have been different had her mother survived her birth. As she leaves with Violet, she feels hopeful for the first time in a long time. And that's where we're leaving off for this week. So that last chapter was a doozy. I really liked this book up until the blackmail and the weird, the lake scene.
But isn't that just consistent, like, with every single book that we've read? Like, the male characters are decent until about halfway through, and then they get really...
They just get this, like, feral, like, urges, like, primal urges that they can't contain. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know.
It is interesting.
I really criticize the author.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting that I just didn't know this about this series up until then. Like, Daphne scene really, like, just shocked me all to hell. I was like,
yeah. But even if Daphne's scene never happened, right, the Bridgerton men would still, in my eyes, be very toxic. Like, I just cannot, like, help feel that way. Yeah. Well, and even like Simon pre-Daphne's horribleness was really kind of toxic when they got to what is it called? Cliveden. And I just feel like I get that Julia Quinn is writing like a historical fantasy, but I just don't see the necessity in it being this. I don't know if it's accurate to the day and age. I feel like there's no way that every single one of the men in that day and age were like kind of this naturally violent.
Yeah. I mean, they casually are just like, I'm going to kill her if she doesn't stop talking. They say that all the time. Edmund would never.
No.
I don't feel like we've ever gotten.
Maybe if she wrote him, he probably would. Because I feel like someone said this and I stand by it. Like, I really genuinely, I feel like Julia Quinn mistakes passion for violence.
And that's really scary because, like, that's what some serial killers do.
Yeah.
They intertwine the two. Like, I can't have passion without violence.
Right.
And that's a genre, like, that could be described as like dark romance. Dark romance.
100%.
And that's okay, like, in its own thing, but this isn't marketed as dark romance. This isn't.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
So it's so shocking. Like, what is happening?
It feels really shocking. I mean, I don't even think like I get annoyed. And I really get annoyed when people are like, oh, it's supposed to be like historical. It's supposed to like represent, you know, this time period. Like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have to. That's bullshit. That really
No, it really
bullshit.
doesn't. It doesn't.
You can't say like romance, or you can't say like fantasy romance and then also completely historical in the same sentence. You just can't, because this is not romance. I'm sorry. It's not. It's dark romance. And if it was marketed as such, then I would have no complaints.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's not what this is.
Yeah. Even the scenes that do like portray violence, and even like the blackmail and the coercion and the forced servitude, if that stuff was addressed by other characters like at all,
yeah,
it would be a different story. But
yeah,
it's like not
completely.
They're just like, oh yeah,
yeah. Even dark romance, I feel like at least like acknowledges that the things that are happening are definitely not okay.
Yeah,
but it is the kink.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is not that.
No, it's different.
This is not what's happening.
If you're here and you haven't read these books, like, please go read them. Give us your opinion, because I feel like we're alone. I feel like we're on an island.
Yeah, I feel like, well, I don't as much seeing some of the opinions on TikTok.
Yeah, we have been posting on TikTok the past couple weeks from the Duke and I, and that has gotten quite a bit of attention. So it does make me feel better.
But actually, a lot of people think this is the worst book.
This one?
Mm-hmm. Because of stuff like this. The blackmail, the forced, like
the casualness of it too.
Right.
Even the way that a
lot of people say Benedict is the worst.
Oh my God.
Because of all of this.
Even in the way that he like referred to Cavender as just like, oh God, like that guy was like kind of annoying that he tried to like gang rape you. But it wasn't like any more of an issue than that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I even think that, like, in my opinion, just he's very selfish. Like, he's a very selfish man.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't know.
He's entitled. He's like, well,
oh yeah,
I like you. Like, I can see that you like me. So like,
why aren't we doing this?
Yeah. Why aren't we together already?
Yeah.
You're going to come home with me.
You're coming home with me. You
gotta live with my mom. I'm telling you.
You're gonna love my mom.
Gotta live with her.
It's
so
insane.
bent on that.
I feel like I'm in, like, I genuinely feel like I'm in a, like, am I in a different world? Like, am I in a fucking simulation? Because I just don't understand how these are so popular. Like, I can see this being popular with a very niche group of people, just because again, like, it's dark romance, whatever. I get that, but this is a very widely popular series.
Yeah.
Enough so to where it got made into a fucking show.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm in an alternate reality.
Yeah,
I can't understand.
That's how I feel. And even on other people's TikToks, when they're like quoting things from the books, and they're like, look at this scene, and it's like a really, like, it's a fine quote. And then, like, didn't you read all that shit before then? Like, what about that?
Literally. Okay, so we're gonna talk about how he said, like, yeah, okay, there's like the really good quote that he had said, like, you know, let's make tonight, let's pack everything in one night. That was a really good quote.
That was amazing. I loved it.
Thing
it made me so hopeful.
But then, like, you know, then he blackmails her, and so that is erased for me.
Exactly. Like, I can't quote. I won't be putting that on TikTok. Unless
like,
it's together.
The other stuff just doesn't matter. And I don't understand. Maybe they just are very good at compartmentalizing.
I don't know.
I want sections of this man, but not other sections.
Yeah.
I like when he treats her well, but I don't like when he blackmails her.
I like that he draws. I even put in, like, one of the chapters, I'm like, he's got like a personality. We didn't learn any of anybody else's hobbies or like interests. I'm like, I like that. And then, like, it doesn't matter now.
No.
It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know
if
how
you
to
feel attacked by what we're saying, please write in.
I do feel, I don't want anyone to feel attacked. I don't want to kink shame again here.
Yeah.
Or like book shame or whatever. It's just,
it just needs to be presented in a different light, and it would be fine.
It just feels irresponsible, if I'm honest. It honestly, it does. It does feel irresponsible. It feels irresponsible for any kind of young or impressionable person to be reading these books.
Yeah,
and to think that
true.
this is something that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the thing. We criticize this stuff on television all the fucking time. So why can't we criticize it in a book?
Yeah. If I had like a I don't know, a teenage daughter, and they're like, oh yeah, go read the Bridgerton books. It's a popular series on Netflix.
I'd say, fuck no.
Right. But you wouldn't know that. Be like, oh, the series was like fine.
Yeah. Well, Yeah.
There's some, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not as
No, I
bad.
agree.
That's interesting.
Anyways,
All right, let's
we can
close it out. That was a
close
lot.
it out.
I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about at the end of the book.
Sure.
Because I haven't read it and you have. Okay, I can see from in your eyes.
Yeah, it's not nearly as bad as
good.
like the first one. Like it won't top the first one.
No.
But it's definitely not great.
It's all different kinds of.
Yeah.
Or what's your quote of the week?
So this is when they were at my cottage. A quote by Mr. Crabtree. He said,
nice.
"When Mrs. Crabtree has a lot to say, she has a lot to say. And when she has a lot to say," Mr. Crabtree continued, his smile growing wide and sly, "she likes to say it with great vigor." And I love that because that just feels like I feel that.
It just like sums
I
up a
feel it.
marriage.
It sums up a marriage. It sums up me.
Oh, okay.
It sums up just like I
feel
just
that.
feel that. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. I
And
love
I
the
thought it was like a
Crabtrees.
funny little like witty, like cute. He just knows her very well, and their interactions just make me like happy.
I do love them. If I was Sophie, I'd be like, I do kind of want to stay here, but I also don't want to be associated with you. I don't want. Maybe if you weren't the owner of this cottage.
Yeah,
Benedict.
I don't disagree.
Benedict.
Yeah, I don't actually disagree with that.
Yeah, they're cool. They seem cool. Anyways, mine, I take a different route. If you run from me right now, I swear I will follow you. I will catch up with you because I'm stronger and faster, and I might very well feel compelled to tackle you to the ground just to be certain you do not escape. And that was the real quote.
That was the genuine quote when he was like, "My dick's out. I'll chase you with my dick." Yeah. So, yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's a quote.
I just
that is
can't.
a quote.
I just can't. Who would you be?
Oh my God. I probably would be Mrs. Crabtree.
I love it.
And I also would want to be Mrs. Crabtree.
I put Mrs. Crabtree as who I would want to be.
Yeah.
That's funny. I put Posey as who I would be.
Oh, I see that.
Ooh.
I do see that.
Kind of, you can tell she has like
No.
a gentler heart than the other two, but she's like still stuck there.
Yeah, but I just couldn't even see myself as someone with that kind of status. Posey is like an outcast of society, but she still has status.
Yeah, true. That's hilarious. You're so funny. Who's your favorite character in the whole book?
Listen.
I mean, just this half of the book.
Listen.
What?
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna save the one that I really want to say for next week.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say Mr. Crabtree. for
Mr.
this one.
Crabtree.
Mr. and Mrs. Crabtree, both of them. It's a tie.
I do love them. I picked Sophie.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I feel like she's gone through a lot of shit and she's handling it the best she can up until this point. I mean, especially from the moment that she was rescued by Benedict, she has been like, had no choices.
No, for sure. She did kiss him when he was literally sick and
True.
sleeping. And then she sat there and watched him while he was naked in the lake. Those are the two things where I would say that I can't get completely behind Sophie, like 112%.
Yeah. I feel
but
that.
she has been through a lot and she's like really persevered and I do appreciate that.
Okay.
But stop kissing people while they're literally asleep and then stop
But also
watching
like
people
sick.
naked.
Like you're gonna get like typhoid fever and die.
Yeah, first of all, it's disgusting. Second of all, it's a violation. First of all, it's disgusting.
Like they're two different kinds of disgusting there.
Literally.
And
Might as well just go like
violating.
eat his shit out of the chamber pot.
Disgusting.
Okay.
Just fucking get
We're
sick and
moving.
die. Jesus.
I said might as well. I mean, it's on the same
Truly.
fucking par.
Least favorite character.
Oh my God. Araminta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. I picked Benedict obviously because because he was so prominent in these last few chapters, but Araminta was the evil stepmother.
Slavery is pretty bad.
Slavery is pretty bad. I can't argue that. And
I just mean that she basically enslaved
because she was working with
Sophie.
that, she didn't pay her.
Yeah.
She didn't even tell her that her dad did leave her money.
Yeah, she was basically her
Oh my
slave,
gosh.
and that's really bad. And I would say compared to the things that
That's fine. I don't need it anymore.
Benedict has been bad, but like
They're
not
both bad.
quite as bad. I feel like
I don't
slavery
know.
for 7 years is a little bit worse.
He did force her into servitude as well.
Yeah.
Except she is going to get paid, whatever.
She is going to get paid and she's going to have like a good job out of it. And
Details.
I'm not saying that what he did was right. I'm not. It's wrong. Right. But I'm just saying
it's just different
slavery
levels.
is kind of worse.
There's just different levels.
Personally.
They're all bad.
In this situation, slavery is worse than the blackmail.
None of them are good.
Maybe we shouldn't compare.
No, I was going to say. It's just, I've been trying to say.
In this situation, though. In
bad.
this specific situation, I think Araminta's worse.
Okay.
She left her in a closet and didn't let her go pee.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
You know? She also did probably way worse stuff.
In the house, that was for like hours, like overnight.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah, overnight. Yeah, fuck that.
She slapped her across the face.
Yeah, physical abuse.
Physical. Probably not the first time.
No.
I'm just saying Araminta, I think. Anyways.
Does anything happen with her? Spoiler alert. Okay.
All right, I will say the ending is pretty satisfying.
Oh, thank God. Okay, good. Okay, I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it? I think we're good.
I think that's it.
If we have any more final thoughts, we'll wrap them up at the end of the book next week.
Yeah.
I put next week we are finishing up this wretched thing. We'll see where it goes because I don't know yet. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Yes. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at litlibationspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, go join the Facebook group. Go give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Go comment on our TikTok. Go follow us.
Don't shit on us, please.
Yeah, if you do, just do it in a 5-star review.
Yeah.
Please. That's it.
All right. That should do it.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Love you guys. Yeah. Peace out. Bye.
Woo.